Hello friends, Ita with Ita Thoughts here, and this is the first video tutorial where I'm gonna explore mixed media with you guys, and this is straightly coming from Angela Holt Designs and the Beline Chronicles Ning site. And I'm super excited. I brought this altered CD mini book just to show you guys the kind of beaded binding technique that I want to share with you guys for this art journal. You guys see that? And I also used beads for the closure. I don't know if you guys can see those. So this is another fun way for us to not only create a mixed media journal that's all about us, but we can also still have that scrapbooking type of feel to it, because you can incorporate your scrapbooking supplies into mixed media, which is, I think, one of my favorite aspects of it, that you're not restrained to just one type of product or a certain type of medium. Mixed media allows you the opportunity to expand your horizons, opening up more levels of creativity for you guys to create art and hopefully inspire yourselves, inspire other people, and bring beautiful art to this world. So with all that said, I have some some cardboard here that I've cut from a box where I received some goodies. So I just cut the box up, and it happens to be already pre-scored for me here. This is where the box folds. So I thought this would be a good size to have as a spine for your cover. And the cover, each panel is 10.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and it's scored here at 1.25 inch here. So this gives you a 1.25 inch spine, and all I did was punch 3 holes through it. And this is where the beading is going to be done on this side. And what I do when I incorporate my beading into my mini books, which I totally love because I also love playing around with beads, I'm able to use my jewelry supplies in projects like this. But what I do is I also incorporate a bead down the center of every page. Can you guys see those beads there? Down the center of every page, and it comes out through the covers here, the front and back cover here, and then I just created a design here. I know that if you're a beginner to mixed media, you might be a little bit maybe restrained from what you can do, but the way I see it is a lot of you are already creating mixed media and you don't even know it, because that's what was happening to me. I was altering picture frames and altering wood boxes, and just thinking that that was still a part of scrapbooking, but it's not. It's a part of mixed media, because you are using different types of products, different mediums to create a piece of art. So if you think about it like that, a lot of us have already been doing mixed media for a very long time and we just didn't know it. And it's been quite a journey for me to discover this on my own, and I was a little bit scared too when I first got started, but once you dive in there and you just stop thinking about it too much and you just let go and start putting paint and whatever else you can think of on a surface, it just becomes a little bit easier with practice. And it's really fun for me to play with different mediums, different gels, different types of paints, different types of sprays, of inks. Just there's an assortment out there of different products that you can use, and I will try to share a little bit of each one of these products that I myself have personally already played with, and I'm gonna be sharing those tutorials with you guys in a range of mixed media tutorials that I am working on for Angela Holt Designs and the Bling Chronicles Ning site. So let's get started. I want to give you guys some examples of a few pieces of different techniques that I use to create certain pieces of art. So this is one of them, and the background was a lot simpler to create than it possibly can look. These are all stamped flower images that I have. This is also a stamp. So it's just different types of techniques, and sometimes you can use the same technique over and over and over, and you're still going to come out with a totally different look each and every single time. So these are just some examples of the kind of stuff that you guys should be expecting from these upcoming mixed media classes. And I did my first class yesterday, creating a canvas, and it came out a lot better than I was expecting. It's been a couple of weeks since I've played around with anything mixed media, and I was a little bit nervous about it because it was live and I didn't really have anything specifically planned out, but I am super excited on how it came out, and I will share that with you guys. And here is what it looks like. Those are the handmade flowers I showed you all how to make. There's the dress form. I added the wings last minute because as I was looking at it from a distance, the part where it says here in her soul, it kind of made me feel that this dress form needed some wings, so that's why I gave her these really cool wings. And I added these metal embellishments here that I got from Miriam's Crafting Supplies. And I added a few more little flowers, but basically the whole thing I did with you guys online. And I am strongly thinking of having this be a part of a wonderful auction that we're going to be having next month for breast cancer awareness. And you guys can see all the details at the Bling Chronicles Ning site. So I strongly recommend that you guys stop by and have a look at it. And I'm going to share my still pictures of this canvas with you guys on Facebook a little bit later. So with all this said and done, we're gonna get started now, and I'm gonna try my best to have 2 pages done today and 2 pages done tomorrow, and hopefully we can work on the cover both tomorrow and today. So I have just some cardboard here that I cut, and I punched the corresponding holes on the side that are going to match up with the spine. Oh, can you guys hold for 1 second? Oh, actually it's advertisement. Anyhow, so we're gonna get started with our first piece of cardboard, and all I'm gonna do to this is I'm gonna add a coat of gesso. I'm gonna add 1 layer of gesso to the whole page. So I'm using Claudine Helmuth Studio Gesso. And what gesso does is it primes your surface, and it prepares the surface that you're going to be working on to be able to support all the layers and layers of stuff that you put onto it. And that's all gesso is. It's a primer, and it's always a good idea to always use gesso on all your crafty mixed media projects. So I'm just adding really quick a nice layer of gesso. And this journal we're working on is going to be based on ourselves. I'm the kind of person that I craft and craft all day long, but my crafts are always either as a gift or for somebody else. It's not really ever intended really for me, like for me to make a layout about myself, or for me to make something specifically for myself. I really kind of forget about that. I forget about myself, and this journal is gonna help ground us, so to speak. There's times where I don't have any inspiration, and I'm kind of stuck, you know, and sometimes what I've helped works with me is for me to go through my journals and my art journals. I have done quite a few of them, and I get inspired just by going back and looking at my previous work. Maybe it's a color combination that I used, or a certain quote, or an image, or maybe a technique that I use, and I get inspired again. It gets my gears going again. Or sometimes when I've had a bad day, or I'm really upset with somebody, or I'm upset at a situation, it brings me back down, you know. It grounds me just by going through my journal and reading all the positive quotes I have in them. I always try to do my art with a positive side to it, so that always helps ground me and bring me back to the person that I am. And that's the purpose of this journal, In this journal, we're going to be discovering ourselves. We're going to be creating this just for us. And as beginners, I think this would be a great beginner project. If you're a beginner to mixed media, this would be a great start, just to start discovering yourselves and to start discovering mixed media and all that fun stuff. So the one thing that you are going to need for your journal is a picture of yourself. It has to be a recent picture because this is who you are now. This is who you are today. So you're going to need a picture of yourself, and I have a picture of myself here. I chose this picture because it was a picture that my husband took of me, and he caught me singing, wearing my headphones, and he just told me to turn around, and when I did, he took my picture. And I was like putting my hand up, telling him, like, waving at him, telling him no, and he still took it. But we had a chuckle over it, and it was just something surprising that he did out of the nowhere. So I really like this picture, and this is the picture of me that I'm going to use because this is a good moment, a good I guess a good little second in time that I had this year. So you're going to need a picture of yourself. You're going to need a couple of positive quotes. And you're going to put a new quote or a new phrase, a new set of words onto each page. Let me see if I have my quotes here. I have quite a few quotes that I've used in my previous journals that I really like, and I'm going to use them again in this journal. And some of the quotes are, it's the little things that make life big, or wishes are the magic in your heart that cause beautiful things to happen. Positive quotes like this are always good to use in your journals. I think most of these are Tim Holtz, and these are stamps that I previously stamped on a piece of cardstock and just ran the scan in my through my scanner, and like this I'm able to enlarge or shrink or resize my stamps to the size that I want to use on my project. So I put a couple of them and made a couple small, couple big, and I put them all on one sheet of paper and printed them out on my printer. So you're going to need your quotes, you're going to need a picture of yourself, and you're going to need to have a couple of different coloring mediums, such as acrylic paints. You can also use pan pastels, you can use color sprays, inks, stuff that you can use to color and bring brightness and color to your pages. So I'm going to keep this picture up of myself. This is going to be my first page. And in your first page, your let me think about this. Actually, your first page is going to be your introductory page, which means it's just going to be a very simple type of background technique with a sentiment that represents you. So I think that the one word that best describes me is creativity, because I like to create, and I try to create something, at least something small every day, and it's either going to be create or inspire, because I like to inspire other people to create art, and I like to be inspired by other people's arts. So it's going to be one of those two. I really have to think about one of those two. And it's preferably that you don't put something like something that you are, like a mother or a daughter, or those kinds of words are going to be saved for another page in your journal. Your first page is only going to have one word, and this is going to be the one word that best describes you. So mine is going to be either create or inspire. I'm not sure. But to start, we're going to start off with something very basic, something like just a very simple technique. I didn't close my gesso. Very simple technique to create a background. And it's always fun to start playing around with different colors, different types of acrylic paints. And I have a selection here of yellow and pink, and I like this pink better. This is magenta, and I have some turquoise, and I have some midnight blue. So these are the colors that I'm working with. This is Marigold from Americana. This is a Lumiere no opaque color, and this is 582 magenta. And this one is Craft Smart. This is color turquoise. And this is Folk Art color Midnight, and the number is 964. So you have your colors out, and you're also going to need a dry brush. I like using this 2-inch brush. I like using this. I like the technique, the streaks and stuff like that it leaves. So now my gesso is dry, and I'm gonna add a little puddle here of the yellow. I'm gonna have some of the turquoise. I am going to scoop up some of the magenta. And on this corner, I'm going to put the midnight blue, which almost looks like black, but it's not. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my brush, and very lightly you're going to hold your brush and you're going to start working with one color. And gradually you're going to start working with all the colors, like so. And this brush leaves this really cool lines, brush strokes. And you can see it's not fully blended, but that's fine. Some of the colors got blended and mixed in, and some of them didn't. I think that looks really cool so far. And I'm gonna bring my heating tool and I'm gonna dry this up really quick. So you guys have to remember that creating mixed media is mostly layers. It's consistent of many layers that you incorporate into a surface to create art. Okay. Oh, it's still wet. I got some turquoise here. I'm just gonna try to fill in here some of the gaps here with my finger. I'm not trying to be perfect about it. I'm just trying not to waste some of this paint. Pull some of the color from the corners down. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. For me, this is the most fun part about it, that I can get my hands dirty. And while I'm getting my hands dirty, I'm creating some art. Here I'm just with my finger dabbing it in some paint and just very lightly trying to blend in some of the white spots. Sometimes your hands are going to be your best tool. I'll show you guys how that looks up close. So this is already starting to look like an abstract piece of art. And all I did was apply 4 different colors and very randomly spread the color throughout my page with a brush. I think I want some yellow down here. I'm just going again with my finger, getting some paint. You just go with it. Don't always try to be perfect, or don't overthink your art. Once you start overthinking and you start second guessing yourself and doubt starts to come in, it's just a very vicious cycle. So just don't think about it. Go with it and keep your fingers crossed that something good is going to come out of it. The next thing I'm going to do to this page is I'm going to get my stencils. Now I'm going to stencil in an image randomly with some gesso. And I have a few stencils here that I brought. I just want to look through them really quick. I really like this stencil and this one, but I like this one. And I have some letters. Okay. I won't use that. I'll use this one. Okay, so I'm going to use 3 different stencils. This one is by Donna Downey, I believe. And this one I purchased through an online store called Saw Crafters. You guys can probably find her on YouTube and find a link to her store. She has some really awesome stencils at really cheap prices. And I have this alpha stencil. So I'm going to stencil in this image here on this corner. And I'm going to do that by bringing back my gesso. And getting a dry sponge brush. I'm going to dab it on here. So this is a very simple, basic technique where you're using your acrylic paints and stencils, and that's all you basically need to create a fabulous background. As we progress with our art journal, we're gonna progress to a little bit more complicated, or the type of layouts where they require a little bit more of different types of mediums. Okay, let's see. Ooh, I like that. There's really no right or wrong way to use any of these types of mediums, because you never know what kind of new technique you're going to discover. So you can apply the same technique to different types of mediums and you're going to be left with totally different results every time. You guys see that? I think I'll do one here on the top, coming down. Okay. Bring my heat gun. This is what we're looking at so far. It already looks to me like an abstract painting. I like it. Okay, then I have some other stencils I pulled out here, and I'm going to use my acrylic paint for those. So again, I'm going to get a dry sponge brush, and I'm going to add my acrylic paint to it. And I'm going to dab it on. I really like these blue, these polka dots. Do you guys have any questions? I can barely see the little polka dots. Cool. Okay, so that's my second stencil. This would be my third layer, actually my fourth layer. My first layer was the 4 colors that I added, and then I brushed with my brush. The second layer would be the added color that I added with my finger. The third layer is this flower, this poppy stencil, and the fourth one is the dotted stencil. So far we're creating a really cool background using nothing but acrylic paint and stencils. And I want to use my alpha stencil. And I'm going to use the dark color for this one. Only instead of using my brush, I'm going to use a piece of chipboard for this one. Sometimes it's not needed to have all that fancy tools. You just need to really be creative and determined to get the same look and feel without having all that, those supplies, those tools, because sometimes it could be a little expensive. So I just added some paint here to my piece of chipboard, and I'm going to use it as a scraper and scrape it over my alpha stencil. And I'm not trying to be perfect at all whatsoever. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, and I'll think of it as a creative opportunity. Come on, I know there's more in there. This is really my favorite color. I'm gonna use some of these alphas. I'm just gonna heat set that real quick. Okay, and another fun thing to use in mixed media projects like this is different types of tapes. I have here, this is called drywall tape, and I bought this huge roll at the Home Depot for like $4, and I use it a lot, and it's still going. I'm just gonna cut it in random shapes, random sizes, and just randomly apply it throughout my entire surface. This adds good visual texture. You can also use washi tape. You can use masking tape. I feel like bubble gum talking about tape. The way he's talking about shrimp. We got masking tape, washi tape, drywall tape, all kinds of tapes. Okay, so as you can see, I just very randomly applied my drywall tape. I'm just making sure that it's nicely stuck on there. Once you're done with all your layers, I'm going to add 1 coat of multi-medium gel just to secure everything and make sure that everything stays stuck. So with my magenta paint and my spatula here, I'm just going to go over some of the areas where I added the drywall tape. I'm going to heat set that. And the last layer that I'm going to use is I'm going to use some gold paint. You guys know how I love using my gold paint. And the gold paint that I'm using is from Lumiere, and this is color True Gold number 550. And with my same spatula, I'm gonna dip it in my gold paint and I'm gonna randomly go over my entire canvas. I like using this metallic paint because it does a very beautiful thing when you add heat to it. And it looks even better when you add it to the drywall tape. This is going to be my last layer. The next thing I'm going to add is my letters. And if you hear the acrylic paint crackling, don't worry, and bubbling, that's what it's supposed to be doing. And it only bubbles and crackles like that when you add the heat gun to metallic paint. Look at how that looks, like melted gold. And I'm only going to be working on one side of my journal pages. I'm not going to do anything to the back side of my journal pages, because the way that I'm thinking of attaching them into our journal, it's going to be done in a way where they can be taken off in and out of the journal. And if you ever decide to take any of your beautiful creations out of your journal book and put them on a frame, you won't lose what's on the reverse side of your project. So for this type of journal, we're only going to work on one side. We're going to treat this as a canvas, and we're only going to work on one side of our pages. The only thing I might do to this side is maybe add a layer of paint just to give it a nice finish, a nice look when you flip your page over. Another thing that I like to do to a lot of my pages is I will add a little paper, and I will write just maybe the colors that I used, or just the type of materials that I used to create this page, so that if I look back at it and I try to recreate it, I already have the recipe in the back of the page. So this is our first page, and our first page is almost done. The only thing left to do is for me to get some letters and write my phrase. For this, you can use stickers, you can use a printed piece of paper, you can use cutouts, just all kinds of possibilities for you to get your letters. And I'm going to go with the word inspire. Let me just go through my alphas to see if I have enough letters. an eye. I'm missing a letter. What to do? I'm gonna have to use the exclamation point and use it as an eye. Let's see. So I have my I, my N, my P. This is my fake eye. Making sure they're not going to fit. So it's going to look something like this. And I think I want to make my letters good question. What color am I going to make my letters? I'm thinking, what color do you guys think I should make my letters? Not white, because I already used white here in the flowers. I think I'm going to emboss them. No, I'm gonna paint them gold. I'm gonna stick to acrylic paint as my main medium here. I wish I had another eye. I don't have it. So I'm going to get a brush and I'm going to paint my letters with acrylic paint. And the color I'm going to be using is from Delta, and this color is Metallic Kim Gold. I'm just painting it with acrylic paint. I might distress them a little bit. And I'm choosing gold because inspiration is golden. Once I'm inspired to do something, I get the move on. The gears in my head start spinning around and around, and the magic begins to happen. I'm going to see if I like the way this looks. If not, I can always go over it with another color. Once I'm done with this page, I'm going to take a quick 10-minute break, and this gives us a chance to go to the restroom or replenish our drink. Okay, I'm just going to get my heating tool real quick, and I'm going to heat set this. I'm going to get my wet adhesive, and I'm using Arlene's Tacky Glue. I like the way it looks. I'm gonna come in with, let me see if I have a small thin brush. Kind of give it some distress using my acrylic paint. Oops. Giving them a little rustic look so they kind of pop out. There you have it. A full page created with nothing but stencils and acrylic paint. This was a very simple, very basic technique, and I guarantee you that every time you try this out using different colors, you're gonna always get a totally different look. I'm very happy with the way this came out. I might add some bling here and there, some flat back crystals or something. Because after all, I really do love the bling. Just very subtle hints here and there that there's bling there. Okay. You guys see some of the bling? Okay, well, this is my first page, and if you guys have any questions, here's a good time to ask me before we go to our break.